The Sphinx of Giza and its connection with Atlantis. Well, one thing I want to direct you to immediately is the playlist I have of the Emerald Tablets written by Thoth the Atlantean, Hermes Trismegistus, and it's amazing the technology he describes in there that they had and their philosophy. He says that they had interstellar travel and even interdimensional travel, and they had such technology that they were even using, which was warned against using by the Divine Spirit. He said it was a matter of time before the Divine Spirit, God that is, put an end to Atlantis because of what they were doing to the detriment of humans, he said. And he said that he should be credited with building the Giza Plateau and pyramids, and that he has hidden his one of his spacecrafts under a Sphinx in the Giza Plateau. Now we know that there should be two Sphinxes, only one is there right now, and there's a lot still to be discovered in the Giza area, but that's what I want to direct you to listen to as you're driving or working around the house or whatever, or exercising. Listen to that because there's so much information in there. He even talks about the destruction of Atlantis and how the various Atlanteans foresaw this and went to other areas of the world, and the first thing they did was build pyramids. He also says that an exiled general and his entourage were exiled to Mars. At the time, Mars had a very Earth-like environment, and that the exiled general was entombed under a face on Mars, and his general entourage was under the pyramids next to the face on Mars. That's around the Cydonia area we see that. So there's a lot of information there. Now about the Sphinx of Giza and connection with Atlantis. In Egypt we find one of the most enigmatic monuments around the world, the Sphinx of Giza. It's always raised a great mystery among those interested in Egyptology. The monument limestone figure that looks eternally to the east, where the sun rises, has always aroused our deepest curiosity. Did the Egyptians really build it, or did they find it there, just like we find it? It seems that it has something in common with the adjoining pyramids of Giza, and there is also no inscription that identifies with the builder of the Sphinx. Between 1816 and 1818, Captain Giovanni Battista Caviglia carried out the operation of digging up the Sphinx and the temples that were around it. Its proximity to the pyramid of Khafre quickly relates to the mysterious Sphinx with the figure of this pharaoh of the 4th dynasty, claiming that the face of the sculpture is actually that of Khafre himself, who lived between 2520 and 2494 BC. From that day until our times, the idea that the Sphinx belongs to the time of Pharaoh Khafre has been invariable, and academicist Egyptology has not wanted to process any other theories that were not these. The Sphinx is built on a single block of natural stone. It measures 57 meters in length, 20 meters in height, and as we've mentioned before, there's no information regarding its origins. The only written mention that exists in ancient times about the Sphinx is that of the Greek historian and geographer Herodotus, who makes no mention that the pharaohs of the 4th dynasty, Cheops, Khafre, and Mycerinus, were the builders of the Sphinx, nor of the pyramids of Giza. Therefore, there is no written proof that its creators were Egyptian. Instead, there are indications that the Sphinx had been created long before the pharaohs of Egypt. And digging around the Great Pyramid, the French archaeologist Auguste Mariette found a wake in which you could read this: "Glory to Horus Mediad, king of Upper and Lower Egypt, Jufu endowed with life. He found the temple of Isis, Lady of the Pyramids, next to the Sphinx temple, in the northwest of the temple of Osiris, Lord of Rosetu. He built his pyramid next to the temple of this goddess, and built the pyramid of the royal daughter Henusten next to this temple." End quote. This is a stele known as a stela inventory. It clearly reads that Cheops or Jufu found a pyramid consecrated to Isis at the temple with the Sphinx. So it shows us that these constructions are prior to what official history wants to imply. But this wake has never been taken seriously by the historians of Egypt, since it would mean admitting that the history they have told us so far so long lacks solid foundations. Legends has it that before being proclaimed pharaoh, and with very little chance of being, Thutmose IV fell asleep under the shadow of the head of the Sphinx, which at that time was the only part that stood out from the sand. Thutmose dreamt that the god Horen Makhet appeared and told him that if he freed the Sphinx, which had been concentrated to him a long time ago, then he would grant him the power and government of the two kingdoms, Upper and Lower Egypt. When Pharaoh was proclaimed, Thutmose IV ordered that this dream be recorded in the form of a pharaonic seal in the foot of the monument statue of Giza. But in the midst of all these explanations about the origin of his mandate as a pharaoh, Thutmose IV does not mention Khepra once as the author of the sculpture, and we're talking about an Egyptian text and a pharaoh who should know very well the history of his kingdom. In the early 1990s, John Anthony West began to question the date of the mysterious Sphinx. He analyzed the erosion traces that are on the surface of the monumental construction and reached conclusions less than surprising and difficult to assimilate. John Anthony West, in collaboration with geophysicist Thomas Dobecki and geologist Robert Schoch of the University of Boston, conducted a thorough analysis of the limestone rock of the Sphinx, which concluded that erosion was the product of rain. And now the question comes, when could it rain in Egypt, in the Sahara Desert? The answer is key to the dating in the gigantic statue, as it should have been before climate change, that is, at least 13,000 years ago. Could it be that this was around the age of the Younger Dryas period and the comet impact? Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. This is by Infinity Explorers and Shrivastava. Thank you. Support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.